the Flora Wonder Blog, my home at Flora Farm. Last week's blog featured plants in the cornice section at the Flora Farm in the upper gardens. Regular readers know what I'm talking about. Namely that my home is located on a farm, Flora Farm, of 60 acres, with the best type of neighbors to the north, the Tualatin River, and to the south a group of gardens, the upper gardens, that extend up a gradual hill to blooming Fern Hill Road. I estimate the above land size to be a whopping 500,000 square feet, and yes, I did the math twice to make sure I wasn't a 0 or 2 off. The cars that barrel down the road at 65 miles per hour plus have only a quick blur at the trees below, and they must wonder if it's a little golf course or some type of nature amusement park. Other driver and bicyclists traversing at a more leisurely pace can clearly see that it is a tree collection, but must surely wonder, what's the point? I, myself, cannot answer that question, or at least provide an answer that is profitable. The gophers and moles, for their part, continue their farming operations to my consternation, and the damn creatures invade my personal space and disrupt my livelihood. They eat my ginkgo's roots, dull my mower blades, befoul my pristine landscapes, and they breed by the millions every year. Of the 500,000 square feet that comprise the upper gardens, not 1 foot is devoid of a gopher hole. You might not be able to fathom what I just claimed, but come out with me then. We'll walk the grounds and you will see. Your ankles and your feet will ache from the uneven terrain, and you will grow old and tired like me. But Flora Farm has its advantages too. My blooming Fern Hill community was formally organized during World War I, when the men were off fighting in Europe, and the women and children really did need communal assistance. I was fortunate to meet neighbor Willa, just 3 houses up from the hill from me. When her husband went off to war, she surprised him and planted hazelnuts on their acreage. He returned, and his sons farmed them for years, and even today the land consists of nut trees. Righteous Willa outlived her husband. She endured and prospered delightfully for a century and a little more. And even though I am not particularly religious myself, my family and all of Willa's friends could certainly recognize that the devout woman was a beacon of religious love. Someday, when I am long gone, I imagine that my dear wife Haruka will shine at 100 similarly, as she glows now in her mid-30s. What difference does it make whether you are Buddhist or Christian? You will be defined by your works, by your grace. Of course, Willa and Haruka hit it off instantly. But before you get to Willa's place, my immediate western neighbor is the good John Jackson, and both of us have grown ornamental trees for profit. Mr. Jackson's father lived in Eugene, Oregon, and he was one of the first to go beyond the normal oeuvre of Japanese maples, beyond the red uprights and lace leaves, into the realm of variegated Acer palmatum butterfly, the dissected Acer palmatum cereus, and the featherly Acer palmatum ruby lace. Today, son John grows tortuous willows so close to Willa's place for the florist trade. And while only just a few years older than myself, he seems to be happily occupied with semi-retirement. He is familiar with the area of stray dogs, knows the source of our well waters, has experienced the century flood watermarks, and, with his pleasant wife Sharon, provide a buffer of security and decency on my western front. What a contrast to my main nursery location, an area known for aggressive drug addicts, felonious ne'er-do-wells, and other spongy recipients on the public dole. To the east, I can receive fantastic sunrises, like the one last Tuesday. Between the Douglas firs, I can see Mount Hood, our state's iconic landmark, a mountain I have climbed 3 or 4 times. The property to my east is owned by Grace Dinsdale, the founder of the famous Blooming Nursery, a grower of choice perennials. We began our nurseries at the same time, and I remember when I first met Grace, she was holding a watering hose. Like me, she has owned her nursery for over 30 years, but it always seems that her company is run better than mine. Another difference is that the years have been more kind to her. She is a tall, good-looking woman who could pass for 37 or 38, whereas to the south, we have blooming Fernhill Road, and across it are blueberry farms and vineyards of Pinot Noir that run most of the length. It's very obvious that I now reside in a much better neighborhood than at the nursery. Besides, my Flora farm features 2 enormous Douglas firs, Pseudotsuga menziesii, and near to them I planted a Pseudotsuga japonica and a Pseudotsuga sinensis. And I wonder if these 3 species exist in such close proximity anywhere else on Earth. In the upper gardens, I also made a point to plant cultivars of sequoia, sequoia dendron, and metasequoia close together, on the outside chance that the trees might be allowed to exist indefinitely. Don't forget that the sequoia and sequoia dendron genre were first scientifically categorized by one J.T. Buchholz. And that Buchholz nursery also probably holds the national collection of metasequoia cultivars in America. I confess that the main reason I purchased Flora Farm nearly 11 years ago was due to one gigantic oak in the front yard. This Quercus garryana is estimated to be over 300 years old, unusual for its species that seldom achieves such an age. Note that my huge, perfectly shaped oak and the 2 nearby Douglas firs were not planted by anybody. They are native to my locale, and they certainly existed long before we white men ultimately robbed the land. What a coincidence that David Douglas of the fir was the plant collector and explorer who named and introduced Quercus garryana. The species honors Nicholas Gary of the Hudson Bay Company, who helped Douglas during his travels. More importantly, my children now have a playhouse under the oak and a swing attached to it. Kids, imagine the Native American maiden who gathered acorns under this tree 200 or 300 years ago. Now I own a white man's deed to this property, but of course I am only a temporary occupier hereabouts. Eventually I will be but dusty crumbs, but these trees will continue long after me, or so I hope. As I mentioned before, to my property's north is the Tualatin River, and I actually own an acre or so on the opposite side. This real estate I concede to another farmer, as I have no easement to it, and I would have to ferry across the river to do anything with it. Strangely, I pay, not him, the property taxes, and the government always collects and couldn't care less about the access details. The herbage along the river includes poison oak, Toxicodendron diversilobum, and blackberries, Rubus fruticosus, as well as an impressive colony of Canadian thistle, Cirsium arvens. The more upstanding flora includes Acer circinatum, Acer macrophyllum, Quercus garryana, and Pseudotsuga menziesii, and the trees are a haven for deer, fox, raccoons, coyotes, etc. The coyotes often cry out chillingly at night, demonically yelping for a few minutes, up to a half hour, then suddenly go quiet. Whatever transpired in that time I do not want to know. One night our family cat Luna was snatched away from our front lawn, only 20 steps away from our door, and only blood and fur remained for my shocked children. We are only 2 miles away from town, from the bank, school, and box stores, but it can still be wild out there. When my daughter Harumi was first becoming aware of our natural world, an owl would occasionally visit at night and hoot at her. My wife delights in the hummingbirds, as her hometown of Tokyo only contains screeching crows picking through garbage. And finally, Haruko could see a rainbow, Niji in Japanese, a phenomenon unknown to the denizens of that huge, polluted city. It's a good place to raise a family, this Flora farm. My daughters have their rabbit pets and Sammy the wonder dog. They even have their own personal garden where they have grown beans, sunflowers, and roses. They love to live in the country, or at least do so now, and their mother makes sure that they understand that it's all due to their hard-working father. Haruko is a woman who gets it, a wonderful mother and wife. You are a specialty nursery or boutique garden center wanting the rare and exceptional plants your customers love? Register as a wholesale customer on buckholtznursery.com today.